Hey everybody, welcome on into ClayShare Live at 5. Here we are for our weekly Wednesday free broadcast. And tonight we have Paula McCoy joining us from Colors for Earth. And I'm so excited to have Paula coming back with us now. Paula was with us during ClayShare Con, and if you missed it, she did 2 tutorials that are free for everybody and then 1 private one just for our premium members. And just a reminder, if you're not a premium member yet, go ahead and sign up for our free trial and check it out. It is so worth the membership. Now, Paula has such amazing products, and she's going to show you color blending. And this is kind of a basics demo, and she's going to answer all your questions. So anybody who's new to using her products and new to doing color blending on their pottery, this is for you. This is also a really great kind of refresher for everybody else out there who's been doing it for a while. Maybe you forgot some things, right? So this is kind of gonna teach you again or remind you, right? And help you out with your technique. Now, next week, I just want to remind everybody, there will not be a live at 5 as it usually is because I will be at the NCECA conference in Richmond, Virginia. So those of you who are joining me, I'll be seeing all of you next Wednesday. But those of you who are there, you can catch me. I will be at the Speedball booth doing a demo. We'll be posting all of this up probably by Friday. I'll be doing a demo at Speedball's booth. I'll be doing a demo at Diamond Core Tools booth and at GR Pottery Forms booth. I'll also be doing a Q&A meet and greet at the L&L booth. So come see me at NCECA. Premium members, you know, we talked about our meetup that we're gonna have this past week in the Good Morning ClayShare. And I will actually talk a little bit more about that in prime time, which is coming up next. But I just wanna share one quick thing. Everybody has been loving my ginkgo plates, my live edge plates that I have been sharing with you all. This is what I'm gonna make during my GR Pottery Forms demo. So you guys, I'll see if I can record it, but those who are there, it's gonna be amazing. We're gonna have so much fun. All right, so I will be moderating this broadcast. If you all have any questions or comments for Paula while she is doing the tutorial, just go ahead and type them in and I will relay them to her. If she has already answered it, I will just type the answer in too so we don't have to interrupt Paula. All right, let's go on down to Texas and see how Paula's doing this afternoon. Hey Paula, how you doing?
Hi there, I'm doing great. How about you? You feeling better?
I'm hanging in. I'm so glad you're here with us.
Awesome.
You make my life easier. Thank you. We don't forget to share the discount too we have with you, that we've got that
Yes.
really great deal. I figured you'll do all that anyway.
Okay, so until next, till next Wednesday or so, you can use ClayShare, all caps, and that'll save you 15% on anything on the website. So it's a great time to buy a sampler. You could also buy a technique that you maybe want to go into doing something specifically. And a lot of people don't know that I have hundreds and hundreds of written tutorials, downloadable PDFs, some video tutorials out there. So it works on those too, works on your brushes. So if you don't have the brushes that I'm going to be using today to demonstrate, that'd be a good chance to catch those on sale also. All right, so Jess is going to give me all the questions and stuff, but I want to go over some basic information because we have a lot of new people. So the color concentrates, and I'm going to switch my camera because you don't need to look at me. So the color concentrates come in 1 ounce and 2 ounce bottles. And let me see if I've got a 1 ounce. So a lot of people are buying the 2 ounce this go around during ClayShare Con. This is the 1 ounce, the 2 ounce, and then we have pints also available if you're doing a lot of production work. Okay. So these are translucent underglazes. Okay. They also are referred to as CC enhancers. So you will see that on the website because we use them to enhance our glass enamels, but translucent or transparent underglazes. So you can use them straight from the bottle. The darker the color, so let's say like the laurel color, what they're made up, the different oxides and things that are in them, they're thicker. So they may have to be slightly thinned, but it needs to be workable. But the first thing that you need to do is to always shake, okay? And I don't know if you can hear that, but once you shake them really well, because of the rounded bottle, they're thixotropic, meaning the more you shake or agitate them, they're going to liquefy. So be sure and shake them really well. You'll think your bottle is empty and you shake it and there's still more product in there. It just is on the wall. If you have to thin it, preferably thin it on your palette versus thin it into your bottle because you don't want to contaminate. Okay. If you do, put some water and preferably distilled water in a little squirt bottle, and you could squirt some in there if you needed to. Okay. Another thing that I want you to be aware of, and I show this towards the end of a lot of my videos, is I've got a fine mister bottle with just water in it. And this has got some painting already done on it. If you just mist your piece, it will deepen the colors and show you more what it's going to look like when it's fired with the glaze on it. So that's a great way to see if you've got enough coats, or maybe you have an area that's really light and you need to touch it up. So don't forget about that mister. Stay about 6 inches back, spray it. When the wet lick is gone, you can, which means water puddle. I mean, it looks damp now, but it's not wet. There's nothing dripping on it. You can go right back to working. So I will tend to mist my piece right before I glaze it. And I know there's a myth out there that the longer you let it dry, then your colors won't smear. I, for 20 plus years, have been doing this method. So if I were going to glaze this piece, I'd grab my soft fan brush and I'd get into my glaze and start glazing it after I misted it. Okay. The reason why is the longer this sits on the shelf and it dries, there is a product dust that is on the top surface. And especially, I used to have a lot of the contemporary PYOPs that would be dipping their pieces and they have pinholes. Well, if you mist your piece before you dip, you can try to avoid that. Now, does it correct everything? No, but I will mist it and then I glaze it. And as long as you go 1, 2, 3 with your glaze, if you keep overworking and moving, you're going to loosen what's underneath it. Okay, so that is another tip. And I do have a quick little video out there on my YouTube that shows you how to glaze. Okay. All right, Jess, any questions before I start?
Well, yeah, will you be at NCECA?
I will
know
not. I was
not
going
this year.
to be with Michael in his booth and demonstrate, but I had too many ClayShare orders to get out.
Oh no, sorry.
No, and I have the glass expo is the first week in April, and so
Oh yeah,
frantically
yeah.
get ready for that. So I don't know how Michael does it, but maybe next year. We'll see. We'll see if I can
Okay.
plan far enough ahead. Okay. So those are the translucent or transparent underglazes. So you can use them straight from the bottle, shake before you use them. The other thing that you can do to get a real nice blendable color, especially if you're new and you're just not sure about painting, you've only done glazing, if you mix it 50-50 or even 2 parts to 1 part with the gloss medium, this is our clear glaze that's only meant for earthenware. I cannot stress that enough because we still have that confusion. So, but if I'm going to use it only on a petal or on a leaf, it's what I call spot glazing. It's okay. It'll be fine to do that blending. And I'm going to show you that because I've mixed up 3 greens here and I've mixed it 50-50 is what I've done. Okay. But you would never use my clear glaze, the CSP01 gloss medium NT clear, as your clear glaze if you are cone 5, cone 6. Okay, you want to use Jess's 2167. You want to use, I use Mako's SW004. So that's what I use. Okay. All right. Anything else before I get started here? She's checking.
Let's see. I'm not seeing anything new. But people are just saying hello, hi, nice to see you.
Hi there, guys. Okay, so I've taken key lime 160 and I've got CC 161 leaf green and CC 162 laurel green, and I've mixed them 50-50 over here in my palette. Okay, so what I'm going to do is a leaf, and you should start with the background first. So this one's underneath. So I'm going to pick up this is the small Sumi brush. The Sumi brushes are a black squirrel hair. They're natural hair. So they're going to hold product and moisture like the hair on your head does when you take a shower. Okay. So when I say fully load that brush, it's like you're shampooing the brush. And then I'm going to point that brush in the direction that I want that color. And I'm just kind of patting it on and I'm coming about halfway back. See that? And I'm going to zoom in so I don't have to do that. And then I'm going to turn the piece. This is key. And if you send me a picture and said, how come mine doesn't look like yours? And I tell you to send me a picture of it, it's because you didn't, I can tell if you didn't turn your piece. It's amazing. I can really tell. So I'm going to tip into the middle green, the 61, and now I'm going to turn and I'm tucking that where it goes. So I tuck it in where the shadow would be, or the darker value of that leaf. And I say, it's sit it down, mush, 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 walk it to the right and walk it to the left. And do you see how I'm going back and forth until I get a nice transition of color? So technically I have probably 2 coats on there at this point because I've just patted the brush. So I'm laying down with the brush almost all the way down, okay, when I do that. So now I'm out of that color. I'm going to put a little bit of it back into my brush, and then I'm going to tip very tiny, tiny bit into that dark green because Laurel is extremely strong. And now I'm going to tuck it in and create a darker shade up against the petal and that other leaf. So I'm continuously keeping my brush aimed where I want it. And see, I'm going back and forth and back and forth. Sit it down, mush, 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 walk it to the right, walk it to the left. Okay. So you've got from light to dark. Typically, I will do 2 coats, meaning this is 1 coat, even though there's probably 2 on there because of the application. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do some other leaves and I'll come back and put a 2nd coat. The other thing that I do is I come in and I just wipe to get any of the dark off the tip. Don't rinse it. You're just wasting your product. If you've got product in there, that's going to help apply it better. So I'm going to go back to the light green and I'm going to tuck it in the tip of that leaf where my lighter value is. Sit it down, mush, 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 walk it one way and walk it the other way. Okay, so it looks kind of streaky, but it'll blend. Turn the piece, pick up the middle green, tuck that in where you want it, sit it down, and just kind of pat it in place. I need to get more because it's a little bit larger. So I've done the same thing on the leaves of this. And I believe this is a plate that I started on another live some time ago, probably over a year ago. And I thought, oh, well, we'll just use it. Maybe I'll get it finished. So you see, you've got 2 values and you see the darker value on that one because we've got the dark. Now, if you want maybe dark to go down one side, you could turn. And do you see how I turn? You always aim that brush where you want the color. That is key to your blending, guys. It really, really is. Now I'm going to pick up a little touch of that dark green, the Laurel, and I got way too much. So I'm going to wipe that off my brush and then just come back and disperse what I've got. So put it in the middle. And I did not say that at the beginning. If you start in the center of the area that you're shading with the color, and then you walk it both directions, you will get a nice even application. Because if you start over here with the dark, time you get to the other side, it runs out of color. You don't have any color, okay? Does that make sense, everybody? Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. We did have a question
Okay.
About the pattern you have on the plate. How did you get the pattern on there? And I know you've shown us in other videos.
Sure.
So folks, go watch.
That's okay. So I use just a cheap tissue paper. Let me see if I've got a full sheet. Actually, this is like a sandwich wrap. So it comes in a big square. Okay, like a 13. And I don't have the name of it in front of me, but I can find. Actually, I found this in California at some food store, and I've still got it because it's like thousands of sheets. I need to find out if it's available in other places now. I haven't found it. So you would lay the tissue over a pattern, okay? And then you would take your pencil. So we're going to pretend there's a pattern underneath there, and I'm going to here's my flower. Okay, and then you would take and you'd bring it over to your piece. And let's just say we wanted to put that in the middle. You would use a watercolor marker. I like to use, and I'm on earthenware bisque, just FYI, but it works the same way. If you're on stoneware, you can use an ultra fine point Sharpie marker, ultra fine. Don't use the big thick tip, the nice fine point, okay? But on earthenware, I prefer the Statler Tri-Plus fine liners. And they have like a Sharpie point to them. And you trace over the pencil. And you have to go slow because some tissue papers have a slick side and they don't want to transfer. See how that transferred? Isn't that cool? So you just go slowly and transfer. Now, since we have a lot of new people, if you were going to, I already have a background on here, but that's okay. So if I were going to create a flower on here just freehand, here's my little tutorial. Here's my center. And then if I want my flower to be this size, so basically it's like a donut now, right? So you make a Y. So you see the Y, you've got one here, and one here. And you divide the two large sections in two pieces. And now I have a perfect 5-petal flower that I can do. Or you could keep dividing it if you wanted a daisy. You could divide those in half and you would have, daisy petals. So depending on the size surface, so if you don't have access to where you can downsize a pattern or you're just trying to freehand it yourself, that's a good way to do it. Just think of, do your donut, do your center, and then make a Y. Okay, so here's your donut. Do a Y, and you've got two large sections, divide those in half. And it doesn't matter what kind of a flower petal you're doing. See, this one could be even turned into a sunflower at that point. Okay. All right. Any other questions about that?
Oh, we had one that I think is really interesting. Will the colors for earth work similar to underglazes when layering them for jelly plates or making transfers? So if people want to make their own newsprint transfers, or like Kathy Skaggs did with the jelly plates and showed us how to do the monoprints.
Yeah, I watched those, but I haven't had time because I've been filling your orders. So
I know. So I think they would probably work very similarly to those, but always do a test. I mean, do a small test, do a small piece, do a little test and see how it works. But I don't see why they wouldn't work. Your colors are highly pigmented. So the colors should transfer the same.
You would think so. When I get back from the expo, my glass expo, I'll try to work on that. So I'm just
I think of it, I'll put it on my notes to test it out when I get back from Nsika. So we'll both be working on it.
Okay. So I'm just
one of us will get it done.
We won't promise when, right?
No.
Between your back and my schedule. So I'm just doing it again, just the same process. Sit it down, mush, mush, mush. I don't know if it would help. I'm going to switch and I hope this works. Okay, so here's the side camera, right? So watch how much of the brush is bent down. I'm all the way down. Sit it down, mush, mush, mush. Walk it to the right, walk it to the left. Then I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of the dark, start it in the middle. Remember what I said? If you start it in the middle, you'll have the same color value all the way across, unless you just want it really dark on one side. So this is what's called a 3-color blend. So you've got one color that's halfway, the other color is halfway and overlapping, and then the third color is your darker shadow. You could do it 2 colors. You don't have to do it 3. When you're done with that dark color, wipe it out on your sponge. Let's go back to the light green. Now watch again how much pressure. So everybody tends to dibby-dabby with just the tip of the brush. I want you to lay it down. Push it down, sit it down. And if you'll say, sit it down, mush, 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 you will do it, promise you. And I know you think that's silly, but when I did retreats and I would listen, I'm like, I am not hearing you. And they would start doing, they're like, oh my gosh, I can do it. So it may just be a mind game, but it really does, it makes you think about what you're doing, and it allows you to accomplish that. But do you see how that brush is all the way down? And then I'm just going to tuck it in. Okay. So you've got a 2-color blend there. And now I'm going to grab, and I've not rinsed my brush at all. I'm just going back and forth. No sense of wasting your color, costs too much money. And just back and forth, back and forth. And now you've got a nice blended color. Okay. All right. Does everybody understand that? Do they understand that?
It seems so. Nobody has any questions yet.
Okay. All right. So I was trying to, and I did similar as far as the background, like on this guy. Isn't he cute? That's going to be one of my Wisconsin.
He's very cute.
So this is my whimsical chicken. So the flowers and some of the parts are done similar ways, but the same watercolory background, like I did here, is on that. So if you blend the colors or mix the colors with the gloss medium, the word medium in the toll or acrylic industry means opener extender. So that's going to cause that color to stay open longer and allow you to manipulate and blend it in that area you're trying. And if you've got an area that you say, oh, you know what, there's a darker spot there and I don't like the way that is. Well, the nice thing is you can just get your medium sumi brush wet and you can come, and this was months ago I did this, and just come back and soften that, and it's fine. So if you have an area that's darker than you want, and it's usually where you started with your application as you're going across and you didn't realize that you had a lot of buildup there compared to what you, and just don't try to stretch the color too far. I think that's something that keep trying to go and go and go, and you can't, you don't have enough, or you don't have your brush loaded well enough. So when you first start, fully load, shampoo that brush, shampoo it up. So let's do this little guy here. And maybe I just want these to have the two colors. Remember, your pattern is a guide. It doesn't mean you have to stay in the lines. And did you see I turned it? No matter, I mean, I've been doing this for 30 plus years this way, and it works, guys, because you have the light color on the brush. You've added a darker value. And when you push that down, you see, you've got dark bleeding into light. And so when you do that, you get that nice gradual transition from one color to the other, or that ombre type look to it. I'm going to wipe out that middle green, go back to the light green, and do the next one. And Jess, anytime you got questions.
There was a question about the blue flowers. Did you do them the same way?
I did.
Different colors, but yeah. Now, you did that in a demo with us, the blue flowers? Were you part of something?
No, I think I did it after ClayShare Con last time, maybe. So a year.
But it's on your blog or on your Facebook. So
on Facebook, folks, yeah. But I'll do one. So I'm going to do
yay.
150. I'll just create this one here. It'll have a turquoise 151 since we've got time. And then 152 deep cerulean. And don't forget, this was that darker color. But the more I shake it, it starts to liquefy. This bottle is just about out, but we don't need much of it. And then I'm going to add the gloss medium, equal parts. And I like to use the handle of my brush to stir the colors up, because then I don't waste my product. If you use the hair of the brush, then you've got to rinse it to go to the next one, and you're rinsing it down the drain. That's my theory on that one. I just don't want you to waste it, you know? Why do that? Okay, so I always start with the light color. 99% of the time, that's my rule of thumb. So I'm going to fully load in the light blue, and we're going to tuck it up here. Sit it down, mush, mush, mush. Walk it to the right and walk it to the left. So I've got about 2 coats on there, halfway. Turn it around, pick up the cerulean. I was using light cerulean first. And now I tuck that color. I turn the whole piece and tuck the brush where I want it. And I'm laying down. Do you see that? The brush is flat almost. Instead of getting lazy, I'm doing that so you can see it. But if you'll just stay more upright and let the bristles bend and do the work for you, you'll get a nicer blend. But isn't that pretty? It just blends from one color to the other. Now I'm going to put a little bit more of that middle blue in and pick up the deep cerulean and tuck it in. Start it in the middle. And maybe I want that color to go up the sides. The only other thing that I did differently is I have some of these here, these folds, and that's what's called a tuck and slide. So I'll do that on one of these that are dry because it worked better. So I'm going to wet my brush. I'm going to drag off most of the water. So it's still got water in it. If I touch it here, I think you can kind of see where it's damp. And then I'm going to touch a tiny, tiny bit into that deep cerulean. And let's just say I want it right here. I'm going to tuck it in and pull and slide. So you could do it with a square shader if you like traditional painting and you want to water load, corner load, float it down that area, but constantly rinse and drag off and touch. And let's put one over here, tuck it in where you want it and pull. Isn't that pretty? I got enough water. I'm going to try this one here. So if I wanted this to have a little bit of a fold there, and now watch what I'm going to do now. I'm going to turn it. I rinse my brush, drug off the water, tipped in that, and I'm going to do it right here to make it a real tiny fold. Isn't that pretty? So you can add so that you get ruffly type looks. I mean, you can do just the basics that I was showing you on the leaf. You do the same thing on the petals. But if you want to add more to it and you want to enhance it and take your art to another level, you can. Isn't that nice? And if I want to keep going,
love it.
Go ahead.
I love it. We did have a question. Now, when you drew that, when you penciled that in, I'm sorry, I missed what pencil you used.
Oh, just a regular number 2 pencil.
Just a number 2 drawing, just any number 2 pencil. Okay.
Yeah. One of your kids, grandkids' pencil from school. Yeah. But isn't that pretty how you can just totally change the whole look of it from something simple, and I can do that one where I've got more involved in it. Okay. So you can go back and put that second coat on that leaf. Well, the first coat usually looks streaky, meaning you can see your brush marks. But when you do, and so I'm back into the lightest green, and now I'm going to tip into the second value or the middle green, and I'm going right over that dark green. Don't freak out. It's still going to be there. These are translucent or transparent underglazes. It's there. You're layering. Every layer you add, it intensifies what you've got there and darkens it. And then if you wanted to bring this down one side, you could do that. And I would consider that finished, other than putting in the center vein. Okay, and I can't do it on that one, but I would use the same method that I used here, the tuck and slide. Let me see if I can do it. So if I wanted to tuck it in up here and just slide down a center vein, I kind of move some of that, but see how I can go back with water and I can soften that if I want to. Isn't that pretty? So on the little guys, you can just do the 2 lighter colors because they're new. They're new. They're going to be softer. They're not going to have that dark in it. But I constantly turn my piece just like I tell you to do it. I've always done that. And it makes a huge, I'm going to tell you, I will be able to tell if you didn't or you did it. If you send me a picture and say, how come mine doesn't look like yours? I'm going to be able to tell you. All right. Do we have any other questions? I'll just add another coat on here. So
there was a question about that brush. That's a small sumi that you're using?
It is the small sumi brush. And these are my brushes that I designed 4 years ago, maybe, or more.
So you know they're good. They've been around for a while.
Yeah, they just went up in price because they are a natural hair. That's the only bad part about it. But yeah, I went and took China painting lessons when I was doing just basic ceramic many moons ago. And I loved that look for the background look, and what I'm getting here with this watercolory look. And that's why I developed the brushes. I wanted to be able to achieve that look. So they're natural hair. They're going to hold the product or the moisture you put on them. So once again, you can, since I've got that in my brush, I can just kind of slide that down. I usually wait till this is dry because I don't like to see that line per se there. But if you don't like something, the nice thing about it, and I'll see if I can do it with, let me rinse this sponge out. Let's say I wanted to wipe, and this has been on here a year, okay? But I can come in here and wipe off that background color. It's gone. And it's not going to affect anything. But if I did a leaf and I wanted to wipe it off, you could do it because it's got that gel base and it stays open because it's got, what is it in there? The gloss medium, the extender. It keeps it open longer. Okay. Now, we do have the opaque underglazes. This is an old bottle, and I'm looking behind me to see if I have a new bottle. Yeah, I've got one here. So some of you, I know I had somebody call and say, hey, I got 2 different bottles. These are just older ones. When COVID hit, we couldn't get them any longer. So we changed to this bottle. These are the color strokes. So these are opaque underglazes, but they do need a clear glaze. They're not like stroke and coats. Stroke and coat is a glaze in a squeeze bottle. This is an underglaze, a true underglaze. So at the higher temps, cone 5, cone 6, sometimes depending on how heavy you put them on, they will gloss a little bit, but you have to put, for them to be food safe, you have to put clear glaze over them. Okay. And my recommendation, I have found either Jess's or I here lately, the Mako SW004 is the one
I've heard good things about that Mako.
Yeah, it works really well. So here is, let me back my camera back off because I'm close. This is the color concentrates. This is Mako Bisque, SW004 on the top. So the thicker the color, and I use these straight out of the bottle because I wanted people to know what's going to happen if they do it that way. So there's a couple of colors that will start to blister because they're thick. This is 1, 2, 3 coats. So I took a square shader and did 1 coat all over, and then 2 on those, and then 3. So be aware, you may need to thin some of the darker or thicker colors down, okay? But they do work on there, and the color is pretty much the same. This is earthenware over here on this one. So there's not too much of a difference. You can see there, the purples and pinks is where you're gonna see the biggest difference, okay? So there are, how many? There's 41 of the color concentrates, and there is 62. And boy, ever since I told them about the spec, they've been loving that. So there's 62 colors in the opaque or the color strokes, okay? And we have a spec. It's just, and I had the bottle here for the longest time. It's just a spec that you don't want to use by itself. I mean, you could, but you don't want to use it over color because it has an opacifier in it. So you can add it to any color. If you were doing a banana or an orange or an apple and you wanted a little speck in it, you just mix equal parts with that speck. You can also mix it into your color concentrates. So it's a separate product on its own. And one thing that the previous owner, Patty Booth, was owned by Booth Mold before I bought the company back in 2006. And she marketed the color as, here's your little chemistry kit, and then you can add and do different things based upon those different mediums. And so that spec is one of those things that you can add to it, because there's no reason I'm going to sell you a yellow with and a yellow without a spec. That's kind of silly. I'll just sell you the spec and you can add it to anything you can see it in. Are you going to be able to see it in dark colors? No, you are not, but you can add it to any of our underglazes. Okay.
And I just want to clarify something for folks. There's been quite a few people have asked. So the extender, you can use it to help blend your colors on earthenware and on stoneware, but Correct. You must still, but on stoneware, you have to make sure you use a glaze for stoneware over it. You cannot use the extender
Correct.
as a finish. You have to still put your cone 5-6 glaze over it. So you can use it to help keep it open longer and extend the drying time and blending. So
just like I did here.
So just to clarify.
If this was stoneware, I've got it on all my flowers and leaves, but I would put a stoneware clear glaze or Celadon or something that would complement it over the top of it. Correct. It's only for spot glazing is what I call that, spot glazing, because you're only doing different elements. You're not using it all over the same piece because it'll craze. I did it. I tested it. It crazes. So there's your opaque underglazes and then the translucent underglazes. So like this is earthenware also, but can you see the blending technique? Same type of, in this packet is out there. I think there's even a video that you can purchase too. So same principles. Start with your light, go to your darks. And if you'll just use that same method, depending on what size brush. So on this guy, I wouldn't use the small brush because it's a larger area. I'm going to use the medium or even the large sumi brush. So always use the largest brush possible in the area and you will eliminate seeing brush marks or brush strokes. Okay. All right.
I love that mushroom plate.
Isn't it cute?
I gotta tell you, it's so cute. Oh my gosh.
I did this on a shirt for my granddaughter 2 years ago for Christmas.
Wow.
It had glitter and everything on it. And then I had a studio up in Tulsa and they said, Paula, can you put that on ceramics? And I'm like, oh, sure. Sure. It isn't going to have glitter, but yes, you can do it. They love it.
I love it. I love it.
And mushrooms are kind of, I think, making a comeback, aren't they?
Mushrooms are the thing. Yeah, mushrooms are it. All part of it.
So, and this was one of the pieces that I did for the Prime members. It will be available if anybody is not a Prime member and want to download the PDF and stuff. But this is a combination of opaque and the translucents. It just depends on the technique and what you're trying to accomplish. And how do you know what works best? Sometimes it's just testing it and figuring it out. That's what Jess does. That's what I do. If you're trying to cover something else, then you're going to want to use an opaque color. But if you're just layering colors, then probably your translucent is where you're going to use those at. Hopefully that makes sense. Last year we did, this is the same type of 2-color blending. So this happens to be in the color stroke line, this pink, these purples here, but same thing. You've got a light, medium, and a dark. So same principle. So when you look at a project, and I know sometimes people get freaked out by looking at the stuff I do, but if you just look at it, it's the same kind of flower, just repeated multiple times. And when you do something in repetition, you will get it. That's why I design things and teach it that way. It's kind of just like the not hummingbird, the little bird and the hydrangeas. If you do them enough times, you're going to get it, so it's a learning thing for sure. Any other questions?
So folks love the hydrangea and the bluebird and the mushrooms. We did have a question. Are you going to show how to finish the center of the flower?
Oh, I can do that. Absolutely. And this is just the little whimsies on a plate with a drippy background. So let me grab number 123. I didn't get my
now, for those of us who are new and just joining us, Paula has done many tutorials with us here on ClayShare. So if you like this, you need to check those all out. We have a bunch that she's done that are free that you can go and watch as part of our live at 5. And then Paula also has hundreds of tutorials of her own on her own Facebook page too. So check out Colors for Earth, and her blog has all of the information on her tutorials.
Yeah, and anything that I do on a live, if it has a free pattern or even a purchase pattern, it'll be on the blog and there's links to everything there. So what I did was I just took 123 sunflowers and I took my gloss medium 50/50 and mixed those together. And you can just come in and just pat that in. You could also use, if you only had the sumi brush, you could just use the sumi. And when you pat something in, you're actually getting highs and lows. So you're getting different tones because you're not trying to apply, a smooth coat. You can also use the stubby brush. I wasn't prepared for that, but here we go. This is our stubby brush. This is a mongoose hair, and it's a filbert. So it's like a cat's tongue. It has a rounded tip. You can load that brush. It's a stiffer bristle brush, and you can come in and just stipple it in, and you get a more uneven finish. So either way would work. It depends on the look that you want to achieve, and just stipple it around. Now, I got it onto the petal, so I'm going to take a brush that's clean, dampen it, and then I'm just going to softly take it back. Okay. You can also come and grab some of that key lime. So I think you can see me. I'm grabbing it and then I'm just beating it down to give it a bad hair day, I call it. That's what it looks like to me. I think I may need to get the darker green. So beat it down so you have it opens it up, makes it bushy, and then you can just touch and get a look. You could use brown. So there's all different ways you can do that. And then do some of them want to see detailing? Do they want to see it outlined? Hopefully, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Go for it.
All right, let's see if I can find my my good brush. And I moved everything around since I had to get a whole new computer after the mishap.
After you. Oh,
40.
yeah.
Yeah. So I took out 101 Cobalt Black. I'm not going to add medium to it, but I am going to use the 3600 number 2 liner, which is a Kolinsky liner. Always make sure there's no water on that barrel so that it's not going to drip onto your piece. And then I just pull the brush through that color. So I'm coating the hairs so that I achieve a nice point to it. Okay. So let's come around here and we'll do this leaf. Okay. So I'm going to just touch the tippy toe of it. And a lot of times I'm not even paying attention. I'm not trying to stay exactly on my line, because if you do that, then you got to be perfect all over. And I think if you do a hit and miss, then you don't have to be perfect. That's what my story is. So pull in, and I'm just barely touching the surface. See that? Isn't that nice? And then you could do the same thing.
It really finishes it.
Yeah, it just, detailing can make or break a piece. So if you're not familiar with doing this, then I would say go practice on something first, practice on paper. Okay. And I think I've got a book here I can show you. So the biggest thing is the more pressure you put down, the thicker your line's going to be. So if I'm just barely touching, I can get a nice fine line, right? If I put more pressure, it's a thicker line. Okay, so a lot of times I will come around. So this is a leaf, and they'll just thicken, thin it, and then pull in. So same thing with your petals. You can, and even if this was a petal that I had some of that tuck and slide on, so this might come down in where that slide is. So I come around and then come in. Do you see? So it's like a little L shape. It's like you were doing a carrot or a reddish. Instead of going down the side and then pull your lines in, that doesn't look real good. It just doesn't look good. So if you think about it, do it this way, and that makes a huge difference. So let's do one that's over here. This should be, I don't even know if it's finished or not, but we're going to do it anyway, no matter what. So I'm going to come around and come in a little bit. So let me do a couple of them here, and then we'll pull in the stamens and all that. So maybe I want it to have, and of course I've got a lip here, so I'm kind of at a disadvantage here. Okay, then I would turn it, and I would come over here, and I would start pulling different lengths. And then you can come back and touch for some little stamen. So you can do as much detail as you want. That's up to you. You don't even have to do any. There's a lot of people who are like, I don't want to put black outline. Okay, that's fine. I just have always done it. It's hard for me, especially even in the glass world, not to do it. And then as far as your center, I usually try to do like a wavy line. There again, don't make it perfect, because then everything has to be perfect. And there is not a perfect world. And then you can come in and you can add some little dots. You could have added that speck to your yellow and created a center. And then I can do that. Isn't that pretty? So if I were going to do this one, same thing. So I'm going to come up here and pull in. And then pull in. Pull in. And so you're just going back and you're accenting what you've already done. Kind of cool. Any other questions, Jess?
Well, there was someone who asked, please do the center of the flower, and you did it. So it's like you were in tune with everybody.
Yay!
So everyone, this is your chance to ask Paula questions all about her products, because she's doing this color blending demo, but really there's a lot of people new to using Colors for Earth. And if you have any questions about any of the things, her brushes, her colors, the differences, all the things, please ask. This is your chance. You have her here now.
That's right.
So
I'm all yours.
Ask away. What number liner was that again? It's your Kolinsky liner.
3600 number 2. We have a 5/0, a 0, and a 2. And the 2 is my favorite. Okay. But if you're doing, they just have less hairs. So the number 2 has more hairs than what the 0 or the 5/0. So it just graduates up. And you can see the pictures of them. So if you just type in 3600 or just type in liner, don't put number 2. That's the biggest thing on the website as far as the search engine. Less is more. And I think the same thing works on ClayShare. You know, when you're trying to find a mug.
If you put in a full sentence in a search bar, it's going to look for that full sentence. And it's almost impossible. Put one word in. Do you want a teapot? Just put in teapot. You'll get all the teapots.
Exactly.
Everyone. Instead of like hand-built teapot or funky teapot or all the other, teapots.
Right. Let me see if this will pop up. This is some other projects that I've done, and the ClayShare color stroke kit that has 12 colors I put together for you. It's like $50 or so. It's very inexpensive. If you haven't tried the opaque underglazes, that's a nice, or you can buy them individually too. So that's one way to do.
Here's a good question. If someone was going to do an apple, would they do a color stroke or would they do the color concentrates?
Personally, I would probably use the color concentrates because I think that you can build the layers and get the streakiness by just stroking over. So like if you were taking the sumi brush and you were stroking up and down for that apple, you would be able to see those brush marks, and that may be an advantage if you like, to see texture and that type of thing. I would definitely add the spec to it. I've got some different, there's an Italian platter that has an apple and then some borders around it. So go check out just go scroll through some of the downloadable techniques. We switched websites and we still have a few things that are not, that photographs are missing, but let me pop it up here, see if it'll work. So there's the website. So at the top, you see the search bar. So you would just search in there. Oh, the other thing, people were having a hard time finding the piping bottles. Okay. So let me go back to the overhead. So I had a lot of people from ClayShare Con that ordered bottles, and they ordered the cap accessory, which is fine because the cap accessory kit has 2 of these, the plunger and the green Q-tip thing for cleaning. But everything is in here. But when you order just the bottle, it doesn't come with the tips. You need to read what's on that product description, okay? This does. The piping kit has everything in it. So it'll show you exactly what's in there. And then usually at the bottom of the page, it'll give you, it's like recommendations, well, don't you want to buy this, or whatever. So this is the 2 different sizes we have in the kits. The 1 ounce and the 1/2 ounce is the blue. All the tips fit the top, okay? And the tips are different sizes, because everybody really loved the wax thing that I did.
Yeah,
and they'll say, "You didn't send my tips." See, I can't even hardly get them out of here. They're inside the bottle. So there's different size. So your black is a bent tip, and it's the smallest. Then the yellow is the next one, and then the pink, and then the white. And the white is turned also. I really use the white one for my piping paste, which is a whole nother thing. You shouldn't need but these 3, but at least you've got it in case maybe you're doing more of a slip trailing. You've made up a slip and you want to do it. The other thing that I want to make sure people understand, because I have to do this quite often, is we have what's called a hobby kit and an artist kit out there. Those kits are made for earthenware, because I just sent out one today, or they ordered one, but I sent something else after talking to the customer, because the hobby and artist kits have the translucent underglazes, the color concentrates in it, but they also have mediums. They have white glaze, black glaze, piping slip. All of those products are 0406. They do not work on. So I usually end up replacing and redoing their order. So just make sure if you're ordering that, If you're earthenware, you're good and golden. It gives you some sampling of glazes, the piping, and all the different mediums and all 41 colors of the concentrates. But if you're doing stoneware and porcelain, you don't want that kit. You want to buy just the 41 kit or the individual ones. Okay.
Right. And there was a question about the colors being, do they fade in the yard? So if someone made yard art and used your color concentrates or color strokes, they would not fade. They would stay. They're there forever.
Yeah, they're covered. It's like
there.
food just on your dishes for your kitchen or anything. So here again, I'm going to mist this so you can kind of see the intensity. So when you mist it, it's going to show you what it's more going to look like as it's glazed and fired. Okay. Because it gets kind of chalky, a little bit chalky, but not chalky like you don't like, Jess, not that chalky, but it high and pastel looking. And then when you mist it, you can kind of see what it's going to do. But see that? Isn't that pretty? I kind of like that. Nice. All right.
So we had a question, a clarification on the process a little bit, and I'll just read this to you. So to finish the glazing of a flower, you would go back and do a whole nother 3-step layer on each petal.
Correct.
Does the black liner need to have an additional coat?
No. Okay. So I normally do 2 coats in an area, and then I do my outlining. You can do 3 coats. If you're a very light applicator, then yeah, but there's some people, because the traditional potter is used to using glazes and putting it on heavier, I think. And this is in thinner coats. And that's why I get some people that say, oh, it bubbled on me, because they use like the sapphire or the cobalt blue. And I showed you on that plate where it was rough and textured. They're very strong. Keyword, concentrate, color concentrates. So thin them down, but don't thin the pinks and purples as much, because depending on the clear glaze that you use, it could wash them out. You got to be, I usually say when you get the pinks and purples on and you like it, add another coat just for insurance and it'll stay. Okay. That's my rule of thumb. It just depends on the technique. Like Jess's flooding, your love and rainbow popped up as today. And it was so cute because you were talking, I almost shared it again. And it, it depends on how you're applying the color. Are you flooding the color? Are you thinning it to flood it? There's so many different ways. And a lot of times I will tend to mix the medium with the color if I'm going to flood, because then it kind of helps me so I don't get too thick, because I've thinned it out with glaze, so to speak. So that's just me. It depends on what you're used to doing. It really does.
That could be interesting and give more of a stained glass effect, because you're putting another material in there and you're kind of creating a thicker layer.
Exactly.
So it's floating almost like you've got it in suspension.
Exactly.
So like you have the color, similar light will refract down through.
Yeah, similar to what I did, on that wax plate.
Yeah.
Because I haven't finished it either. I mean, you can't even.
It's looking good.
Yeah, well, great. It's called Too Many. I was on the phone all that Saturday afternoon answering questions and everything. So thank you guys for your orders and your support, because we were well received. Once again, I really appreciate you allowing me to join you for sure. All right.
So we got a question. Do they smudge a lot, or am I okay to do the first layer, then the second layer and the third layer?
Okay. So as soon as you finish, so if you've got 8 leaves on a piece, as soon as you put 1 coat on each one of them, go right back and do the second coat. I would say if you only have 2 leaves, you may have to wait. Once the water puddle look is gone. Okay. So when you're looking at this, it's dry. You don't see it. But if I were to mist this as if it was wet, you see how that looks wet there on the green? So you wouldn't want to go back and do your second coat then. You would want to let it dry to this point. This is still wet. I mean, you can touch it and it's cold to the touch. So, but if just like I did here, I did the 4 leaves and I went back and did a second coat on that one. So you're good to go to the next coat. And on the black, no, 1 coat. That's all you need. But remember, I did not put any medium in that. I used it straight from the bottle. I just thinned it slightly with water to an inky consistency. And if you thin it too much, yes, it's going to gray out. I would not use the black color stroke, because it's got a designer glaze medium in it, which is another one of our extenders, the opacifier. So it makes the color opaque, and then it's got the pigment, and then it's got some frit in it. So at higher temperatures at your stoneware and porcelain temperatures, you may get some of it that'll have a little bit of a sheen. If you are a person that works on just earthenware, you can put the color strokes on, and I have a Christmas countdown to Christmas, it's called, on my free techniques. You can put this on, don't glaze over it, and it's a chalkboard finish. It's really cool. So
that's
great.
Very cool.
So you got 62 colors that you could make a chalkboard color out of.
That's amazing.
I need to do another project on that because I haven't done one in years.
And just to remind the folks, these fire cone 05 to 6, definitely. Don't know, have you had them tested at 10 yet?
I haven't had any.
So we don't know. But when I get my gas kiln going, I'll put a test piece in and we'll see. But I mean, definitely good 05, 04, all the way up to 6.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can paint them on either line, the opaques or the translucent, on greenware, on bisque, or you can do them as Majolica or Myolica, however you say it. That works great too. And just remember, multiple thin coats are better than one thick, heavy coat, and no matter what product you're using. I cannot stress that enough.
Right.
People just tend to want to glob it on, and you need to multiple thin layers. It's nicer. You get that nice transition. You saw that as I was doing it. All right.
And just so, yeah, these, I'll ask it instead of answering it. Okay. Are these like stroke and coat or more like an underglaze?
They are an underglaze, translucent and opaque underglaze. Now, stroke and coat is a glaze in a squeeze bottle because it glosses without any clear over it, and mine do not. Neither line. You have to.
So you do need a glaze over these.
Yes. Yep. You need a glaze. And you get to see my messy studio space.
Oh, we love the messy studio.
Oh, so there's that ClayShare kit. So it's just a little 644 bottle. So you get 12 colors in there. We have the concentrate kits. We have 3 of them, or you can do the full 41s same time. This is the small bottles in these, but you can choose the larger ones if you want. So we have it set up that way. Don't forget to use your coupon. It's good for a week.
That's right. 15% off with the code ClayShare, all caps.
All caps. So just in case you forgot something weeks ago or a week ago, whatever it was. Or go buy a technique. Go buy you some brushes. I mean, so there's all different things. You can use it on anything.
Wonderful. All right. And let me see if there's any last questions.
Okay.
Does this work on B-Mix?
Yes, I have samples on B-Mix. I show them out there on the website. Yeah. So
I have used this on cone 5-6 porcelain, on B-Mix, on speckled clay. I've used it. I haven't used them on dark clays yet, but I've used them on all light clays and tan clays and spec and non-spec. But I think it would look, you could use it on a dark clay, just do a white glaze first, and then you could do your Majolica.
I have a dark clay plate a big one. So I'm going to test colors on it. So but yeah, they work on porcelain. You know, I showed this porcelain little bunny.
Oh, your bunny. Yes.
And I'm going to work on the technique. So I think I've got it down what we need to do to get that. That was an older product. So yeah, all kinds of things.
And we had a request for a clay dimension tutorial.
The clay dimensions is 0406 only. It's earthenware.
So only low fire.
And I do have, I have one out there on my YouTube.
Oh,
so if you just go out and search, there's playlists for ceramics, you know, glass, those color strokes, color concentrates. So go out there, and I don't think I have one for clay dimensions, but I do have a tutorial that I did one night. I piped a hibiscus, I believe it was, in black, but I can do that in the future. Yeah. Give me a couple.
I could do a low fire one. Just everybody has to know that, or you could do it on your own if you want, but you could come join us. We could send people to you.
Maybe on my next. Yeah.
We'll chat. All right, Paula.
No, I'm not going
to. Next week, you want to do it? I'll be here.
No, I'm getting ready for glass.
You have too much on your plate, my dear.
I want to get some sleep also. So
sleep is good. Sleep's helpful. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here with us, Paula, so soon after ClayShare Con. Have a great Glass Expo, and I'll catch up with you later.
Okay.
Thanks for being here. All right, everyone.
So I want to share a few colors for Earth Things. And we had mentioned test. So here are my color concentrates. This is how I store them. I have these little great risers that I picked up at Joann's. but a lot of craft places have them. And I love it because it raises all the colors up and I can see what I have, and I can see I really need to get more of the red geranium. I'm almost out of that, but it just keeps it organized for me, and so I can see what I have. Now I made a test plate with the colors and put a clear glaze on top so that I know what they look like on the clay I use in my studio with the glaze that I use in my studio. Those are two very important things. You need to know how things, Colors for Earth, but any product is going to react on the clay you use and with the glazes you use. Now again, these are an underglaze product, so you do have to put a glaze on top. You can use them with celadons. You don't have to use a clear glaze. Just make sure it's zinc free, because zinc will eat the color often and change it and fade it. So look for zinc free glazes. All of my line of celadon glazes are zinc free, just so you know. And the 2167 clear that I have the recipe for up on ClayShare Resources is zinc free. So this test plate, I have a class on making the plate and have a class on doing the glazing part as well. So you can make a test plate. And then I want to share this sweet little mug. I guess we'll go to camera 2 so you all can see it. But I used Paula's Colors for Earth to do the color. This is my watercolor technique. But this is an inlay design that I carved. And then I did do the black inlay. I did use speedball underglaze for that. And then for the color work, though, I used Paula's color concentrates. So beautiful colors. This was at cone 5, but it would be very similar at cone 6. So those of you who are stoneware. This is Tucker's Mid-Smooth Stone Clay, but this is Laguna porcelain here on this plate right here. So they look great on everything. All right. So that's it for our first Live at 5 back from ClayShare Con. Now remember, next week I'll be at NCECA. I'm going to have some videos I'm going to be filming while I'm there, and I'll be sharing with you. So we'll be uploading those throughout the entirety of the event. So I won't be here live with you on Wednesday, but I'll still have lots of goodies for you. If you are at NCECA, come find me. I will be demonstrating on Thursday noon, I believe, at Speedball. And then Thursday afternoon, I'll be at the L&L booth doing a meet and greet. I will be sending an email out and posting on social media on Friday what my schedule is. And then Thursday night, my premium members, we have a meetup, which we talked about. I won't talk about here in the public, but we'll talk about more in prime time next. Then Friday, I'm doing a demo with Diamond Core Tools. And then I'm ending NCECA with Jeff at GR Pottery Forms, where I'll be making this live edge ginkgo plate. And I've got a couple different sizes here. So we'll be making these at the end of NCECA. But I will film everything I can. So those of you who cannot be there, as long as NCECA allows me to film it, I'm going to do it. As long as they don't mind, I'll make it happen. All right, so we're going to take a little break. We'll be back at 6:15 p.m. with our private tutorial for our premium members. We are going to be making these fabulous hollow handles. Now, premium members, this is a class just for you, and you do have the template available on ClaySharePrime.com right now, but it will be attached to the broadcast after the broadcast ends. But if you want to get it now, you can go to ClaySharePrime.com and get that template. I've got 2 sizes for you, one for the mugs and then the other for a teapot. So here's the teapot handle. And we'll make both sizes next in prime time. If you're not a premium member and you want to join this broadcast, you just go right now to ClayShare.com and sign up for our free trial or download the ClayShare app, and you can watch with us tonight and get that template. Bye, everybody. I will see you all the week after NCECA for our next Live at 5. And everybody who comes in NCECA, I'm going to see you then.